Well, hey everyone, welcome to the Monday Night Alive live stream. The live stream. It's so live. I have to say live twice. The live stream. That's three times there. You've had a chance to watch the podcast on our favorite robots and least favorite robots, and now is your turn to chime in and hear us riff about it and riff yourself as much as you can in that comment section. A couple of channel updates, actually just one channel update, but in kind of two parts. And that is I did release a cover of me doing 1979 by the Smashing Pumpkins, and that seems to get did pretty well. Although one person said WTF question mark underneath it, and then I lost a subscriber, and I'm wondering if that's that person. And I understand because I think that people tune into the channel for a certain reason. Now, I know you guys tune into the channel because you like the content, but there's also that personal interaction you have with me and my guests and stuff like that. And you want to hear more about me. You know, you're fans of what I do. And so I want to give you more of that as well, but I also have to make sure that this channel is about retro, is about growing up Gen X, which is the mission statement of the channel, and not just about me or myself or whatever. So I'm kind of walking that thin line, but I want to give you something, you know, like a little bit more personalized stuff. And so I did that in 1979. I know I've talked a bunch of that. I've sung in the past. I've sung for bands, and so I thought, well, this would be a good thing. I recorded it. I am my own worst critic, so if I can listen to it and go, okay, it's not great, but it's good enough to share, then I'll share it. Um, and then the other thing that I released, and I just released it like an hour and a half ago, is more of my stand up. It's about 3 minutes of it, which is about what you normally get as a beginner. So there's 3 minutes of my stand up on my page if you are looking for that. But I got to kind of balance it out, I guess is what I'm saying. I got to make sure that yeah, you're getting the behind the scenes more of what I do because you like me and I love you guys as well. Um, but I have to make sure that I'm actually giving you retro material too. But I'm going to keep putting out the stand ups and some more music as well as making sure I am giving you your retro material. And speaking of retro material, boy, do we got a show for you today. Let's just bring on our guests here. We got my co-host Thrash Pondo Pons. How you doing, my friend?
Doing awesome. Great to see all you guys.
Yes, and our very special guest, the Unapologetic Geek. How you doing, my friend?
I'm doing pretty good. Can't
We had,
complain.
yeah, well, I mean, who would listen, right? we we had an amazing conversation, and behind the stage, I mean, it just kind of flowed kind of freely and stuff. It was really good. We just threw out our favorite and least favorite robots and stuff like that, and now we're going to give the audience a chance to interact and talk about some of their favorite robots and have us talk about it and just riff on it just as thoughts come to us. It's no big deal. It's just an open time to talk and have a good conversation about a subject we all love, sci-fi, and a narrowed down subject, the robots and cyborgs and androids that we all loved. And I know that we missed a bunch. I know people have already been writing, well, you missed this and this, and there is some in the comments as well. And I know we missed them. I like it was an hour. Well, it was like an hour and 15 minutes and it was an hour and 15 minutes of us talking. We could talk for another hour.
Easy.
Uh,
Yeah.
yeah, totally easy. But we're not going to do a robots part 2 yet. This will kind of be the part 2. Everybody will get to chime in on their favorite robots and hear us talk about it. But I want to enlist you in a couple weeks. I don't know, 3 or 4 weeks, somewhere around there. I want to enlist you on a very special podcast on Star Wars versus Star Trek. Are you up for it?
Absolutely. I would totally be there for that.
All right. We'll talk about that. We'll do the same thing. We'll do the podcast part of it, and then we'll go ahead and we'll do the Q&A part of it and let everybody else kind of chime in as well. And it won't be a hate thing. It won't be a hate. It'll be just a fair, this is what, because I mean, we're all fans of sci-fi and kind of the big rival to, or Star Trek and Star Wars. But it won't be a hate, like, well, it'll be a very, hey, this is what I liked about it, and this is what I didn't like about it. And, given the totality of everything I like, I fall on one side or the other.
Yeah, I've already gone on record as being Team Star Trek, but it's not like I hate Star Wars. I mean, you can see Yoda over there.
Right, exactly. And me too. I mean, when I was younger, I was a Star Wars person. As I'm getting older, I'm actually valuing Star Trek more than I have. So it's just not going to be a hate, like, oh, I hate that, and I'm my flag's firmly planted in Star Wars, and there isn't anything about the other side that I like or anything like that. So, all right, well, Thrash, how you doing, buddy?
I'm doing awesome. I have big news for some reason, and I'm not sure why. YouTube has unlocked my advanced mode. I can actually do community pages now.
All
And
right.
I've taken full advantage of this. So you folks will be getting much more updates in actual update form, just as opposed to me doing these little sniglets I've been doing. So please check out my new community page and tell me what you think.
That is really awesome that YouTube's giving opportunities to people. Now, if they can just do the monetization, at an earlier rate rather than having to have that 1,000 mark. I mean, I'd rather
hitting that 1,000 mark is so hard.
Now,
Tell me about it.
Did you have to do that, Tug? Did you have to do that, or were you around before the 1,000 mark?
No, I had to hit that 1,000 mark, and it was stressful. Let me tell you, especially as you get closer and closer, it seems to slow down. After you hit 900, that last 100 is just, it was torture.
Now, did you get 1,000 or the 4,000 views as well, or did you have to wait for that?
I had that already. I had that actually pretty early. I had a lot of views, just not a lot of subscribers.
Well, you do have some longer videos, so I think that makes
helps.
sense.
Yeah.
I feel bad for like our friend. He's slipping my mind right now. I can't believe he's slipping my mind. You know who he is?
Friend.
Huh? Yeah, some friend.
Some friend.
No, he's been on the show a bunch. Not Dave, Pat. Sorry, Pat. Because he's got these little 1-minute videos and 3-minute videos, and he made it to 1,000, and he still doesn't have the amount
that
that
those hours.
Yeah, the hours. And I'll help him out. I'll go over to his channel and just hit him, just hit the playlist and stuff like that. Leave my computer running and hit that playlist. Shh. YouTube doesn't like to hear that, but it's true. It's true.
I'm not saying I do that.
I try to do the balance, you know what I mean? Like, I try to make it as genuine as possible, but I got a few pages on here that I go and I push my like button, and whatever it is. So, all right, well, let's jump into it. Let's say we're gonna take no more than about 4 minutes, okay, to say hi to everybody, Thrash. So after about 4 minutes, because we can't, and I learned this from Dave, that he says he takes like 5 minutes to say hi, and that's it, because otherwise he'd just be saying hi to everybody all night. So we're going to do a good 4 minutes unless we get through everybody first. So let's acknowledge our friends that have shown up to show us support.
I'm going to start with this one because I love it. Superplex says, they say Tug will be on tonight.
Yes.
They speak true.
And then we have Tug who says,
Indeed I will.
Indeed I will. And Daryl Johnson.
Hello,
says,
Daryl.
Hey, Tug.
Hi, Daryl. And the rest of us are chopped liver, I guess. No, I'm kidding. I know you love us. I know you love
Lance
us.
Chafin says, hey, Daryl, already hit the thumbs up button.
Yes, please. Everybody hit the thumbs up button.
I did it too. So
right on.
Hello.
Serena Abney in the house says, hey, geek.
Hey, geek.
She could have been speaking to all three of us, really.
That's true. It is true. But you actually have the geek in the title. And what an era that we live in now that, we've talked about this a little bit before, but being a geek or a nerd has actually become kind of a cool thing where, we
when
got
we
beat
were
up
growing
in
up,
school.
It was not that way. Yeah.
No.
Not at all.
No.
Ken Wilkinson has a Halloween joke. What do you call a wise guy jack-o'-lantern? a jackass o-lantern.
I don't know if this is like just a Midwest thing, but when I moved to the Midwest, it was new to me that on Halloween, when kids go trick-or-treating, sometimes they'll be asked to like tell a joke, like tell a Halloween joke. That's like a new thing for me. Like,
wow, I've never heard of that.
Okay,
That's
so maybe
be,
it is maybe it's just a Missouri thing. I don't know.
That's got to be super regional because I've not heard of that before.
I love it, but I've never heard of it.
Yeah, I've heard a lot of really corny jokes that way.
I bet some good ones though. I love those.
Totally.
Those are the worst ones are the best ones.
Absolutely.
Tom the Hungry Jerk says hi, everyone.
Hello, Tom.
Hi.
And we got Keith E in the house. He says, I was working on a robot today and got shocked really bad. Now I am grounded. I don't know if I can attend this thing tonight or not.
That could be a knock, or not a knock joke, but a trick or treat joke. I guess kind of Halloweenish. No, it's robot themed. It's not Halloweenish at all. I guess they want to hear a Halloween joke.
Are you gonna have the
Think
robot
about
brought
Halloween
up on
robots.
charges?
What?
Are you gonna have the robot brought up on charges?
Oh,
good. I like it.
It was the best I can do on such short notice. Let's see who we got here. Oh, Tracy Ross Myers in the house.
Hello, Tracy.
Hello.
And James Dye says, come on, James Dye.
Hey, James.
Hi, Super.
Oh, he's talking to people on the channel.
John Collins in the house says, hello, everybody. Ian and Bob. You guys omitted some. Here they are. Bob, in no particular order. Short Circuit, Batteries Not Included, Flight of the Navigator, and Jeff from The Late Show.
All excellent choices.
Leave that up for just a second. I mean, while we're doing it, we might as well riff on this stuff. So let me just start here. Short Circuit, Five Alive, loved it. It was excellent. I loved Five Alive.
No disassemble.
What's that?
No disassemble.
Yeah, no disassemble. The guy who did Five Alive is a great actor, and he's been in a lot of stuff. I don't know. I'm forgetting what he's been in, but he's been in a lot of things, actually. No, darn it. Well, I'll forget that. I will talk. Battery's not. Go ahead.
I've got that on my short list for videos to do soon. So then I'll tell you who it is.
Okay. All right.
I don't know off the top of my head.
Yeah. Short Circuit, Batteries Not Included, Flight of the Navigator. Not terribly big fans of those, although they were good movies. And Jeff from The Late Show. I don't remember that. You can take that down now. Go ahead, guys.
Oh, and we have a new one. Spadorios #1 says hi.
Yeah.
I'm sorry if I butchered your name.
It's Sparrow. I think it's Sparrow.
But there's
one.
Sparrow Dio.
Yeah, I think it stands for something else. But okay, go ahead. Yeah.
And Tom Laramie says hello, everyone. And I just lost it,
Tom Laramie. All right. What about battery? Both of you. What about Batteries Not Included? And what was that the Jeff thing? I don't get that.
There was also Flight of the Navigator, which was Paul Rubens.
Was it Paul Rubens?
Yes, yeah, totally.
Yes, it was. I can't place Jeff from The Late Show to save my life.
Do you know that one, Tug?
It sounds familiar, but I can't remember it.
I can't either.
I was thinking more of the other three when I said those are good choices.
Yeah.
But Batteries Not Included. I also love Batteries Not Included.
Shows used to have recurring gags. Like Chris Elliott for years did stuff for David Letterman and whatnot. It may have been just a recurring joke guest, the guest bot or something. But I can't place it myself.
Yeah, I've never even heard of Late Night with Jeff either, so I don't know.
Here's a good one. Lance Chafin brings up Data on Star Trek Next Generation.
Only Pulaski called him Data. It's Data.
Data. It's Data, right? I mean, I was
right. It's Data. Yeah.
My apologies.
But it is. but it is a thing on data though, like, right?
Yeah.
I mean,
That's why I always say it, but you're right, it's data. Sorry.
did they have robots during the first first generation
Oh,
of Star
yes.
Trek?
In fact, one of my favorite episodes, What Are Little Girls Made Of?
Oh yeah.
Sherry
Oh
Jackson
yeah,
plays
and
the original fembot, you might say.
And don't forget
Yeah.
about Nomad.
Yeah, Nomad.
Of course.
See, I'm just not that familiar with the original series. I watch it and I enjoy it now, but I don't know it that well.
Honestly, I don't know it as well as I know Next Generation or Deep Space Nine or any of that stuff. Yeah.
All right.
But after I finish The Outer Limits, maybe I'll do Star Trek.
All right.
A laudable ambition.
All right.
Unapologetic Geek says, I hereby promise to never upload my own recordings of me singing on stage from when I was in a band, not because I'm a bad singer, but because I was 130 pounds heavier.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was.
Well, congratulations. Well, we'd
Congrats.
still anyway. Just you'd have to strip the audio out and just play it. And do the MP3. That'd be great. But I have to pause because I was somebody who was very overweight at one time too. I've lost around 100-ish pounds. So
Okay.
how did you do it?
Mostly quitting soda of all things.
Yeah.
I got diagnosed with diabetes, and that was a big wake up call for me. So it was mostly just cutting out sugar, and 90% of that was soda because I was drinking like a 12-pack a day of like Mountain Dew and stuff.
Yeah. That'll do
so
it.
That was it, and I was really surprised like how much of my weight was dominated by sugar.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a big deal. It's a big deal. Sugar's a big deal. And then drinking calories, you're drinking your calories is a big deal too, because it doesn't do anything to satisfy your hunger. You can drink, 2,000 calories and still eat all your meals.
Yeah, exactly. Once you if you start to count calories just like casually, you'll realize how much you actually ingest with drinks. Yeah. Especially if you're like going to Starbucks and getting like lattes and stuff. Like that stuff will add up real fast.
And so you cut out sugar. Was this more of a low carb thing for you, or was it more just calories and they just all happened to be sugar and I could just cut out the calories which were sugar?
I pretty much just cut out the calories that are sugar. Like I could never quit carbs. I love bread and pasta way too much to do that.
Yeah.
And the one that I did have a hard time with was rice, because I also love rice.
Yeah.
But rice, for whatever reason, in me was like it was making my blood sugar go up, just like if I was eating a bowl of pure sugar.
I see.
So I had to switch to brown rice, and that was really difficult for me. That was probably the hardest dietary change I went through.
That's a bummer. Yeah. Well, I'm drinking a lot more now. Like I didn't like I was never. People think because I was in the ministry that I was against alcohol or anything. No, I wasn't. I was not dry clergy at all. But I just didn't ever. It wasn't part of my world to drink, and now I'm drinking quite a bit. So I have to kind of watch that. I'll do a soda water with vodka and soda water. And so instead of beer or something like that, because beer will that'll just put the pounds.
Yeah, that's
sure.
just drinking a meal.
Yeah. I still end up naked in the middle of the street, but at least I don't feel bloated, and that's a good thing.
You should post that.
That's somebody else's joke. I got to admit that.
I learned to make gin with Crystal Light. That actually works.
Yeah, gin with Crystal Light. Gin's a mean drink, man. That is a mean drink, buddy.
That might be another reason why I shouldn't upload my band videos, because we would do like Jaeger shots on stage. So by the end, I would get really sloppy. So.
Yeah. What kind of band were you in?
It was a blues rock band.
Oh, cool. Right on.
It's always been my thing.
Yeah. Like any bands that you particularly I wouldn't say sounded like, but did you do original material?
Yeah, we were an original band. We did cover a couple of things. Like we had a really weird U2 cover. But for the most part, yeah, it was all original music.
That's awesome. That's awesome. So what bands were you looking up to? Like Blues Travelers or something like that, or no?
I mean, I like Blues Traveler. We were looking at like some, like a lot of Southern rock, a lot of like Bob Seger, stuff like that.
All right.
I mean, I like everything, especially 80s music. Like I was born and raised on Duran Duran and Depeche Mode and The Clash,
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
But I just like the blues. So like George Thorogood is my favorite
I
blues.
see. Right
So
on.
blues
Right
rock.
on.
That was my inspiration when I was singing. I was
Well,
trying to be George Thorogood.
That's really cool. Well, okay. I think we've exhausted the saying. Well, let's say hi to anybody who we come across. But let's
We
if
did
we
miss
find
one. The
comments.
foundation says,
The,
"Hope the panel and everyone are doing well."
Thank you, the foundation. I really appreciate that. And if you're new, I would really appreciate your subscribe. If anybody out there is new, I am 3 away right now as it stands. I'm 3 away from hitting 600. So I would love to hit that 600 mark. It would be awesome. So if you're out there and you're listening and you have not yet subscribed, please, by all means, do me the honor of subscribing. And then if you haven't subscribed to these two guys yet, which I don't know why you wouldn't, please by all means do. Their stuff is listed. Well, Thrash Pondo is listed on my page. He's like the second one over, and the Unapologetic Geek is listed in the comments below, and you will be on my page too. I got this section that says Friends of Retro Serial where I put everybody, but I haven't done it for a little while, so but it'll get there. It'll get done. So but yeah, please subscribe to these guys' page as well.
Pretty please, sugar on top. Zuberbleck says, Lance Hendrickson android in Aliens. Anything with Lance Hendrickson in it, I like.
Tug, I'll let you have the floor. What do you think about the android and Aliens?
I love Bishop. Yeah, he's great. I think we talked about it a little bit on the actual podcast episode where I didn't like that they tried to give him Isaac Asimov's Laws of Robotics because it doesn't really play into the plot at all. But I do love Bishop as a character. He's kind of, you go into Aliens already distrusting androids because of Ash from the original Alien, but Bishop actually proves himself to be a good guy. Like he proves himself to be a worthwhile android in the end. Yeah. Unless you're into the conspiracy theory that he's the one who put the egg on the ship and started Alien 3, but I don't go there.
So you don't subscribe to that particular one? That
I like the theory, but I don't really subscribe to it now. Because I like Bishop too much. I don't want Bishop to be
the bad
malicious.
Guy.
Right.
Yeah.
It's like people in the Warriors don't want the guy on the phone to Luther to be Messiah.
Right.
People hate that theory. I think it's a good one. I don't believe it myself, but I'm like, wouldn't that be a...
I can respect a theory even if I don't want it to be true.
And it was all a plan to take over the Gramercy riffs from the get-go. Wowzers.
Yeah.
But
well, if he had the Isaac Asimov's 3 rules of robotics, then could he have done that? Then could he?
Probably not.
Yeah,
but he could have been lying about having the 3 laws, couldn't he have?
That's true.
Ooh, we're going layers deep on this android stuff. He could have lied about
conspiracy level alien.
Yes. Everything that disproves the conspiracy is just part of the conspiracy.
Yes, exactly.
Well said. Well said. James Dye says Dot Matrix from Spaceballs.
Oh man, that's a good one. That's one of my favorite spoof movies. Loved it. Saw it when it came to the theaters. I thought she was great. Joan Rivers, obviously, doing the voice for that. And pretty much the robot was modeled after Joan Rivers as well. And I thought it was funny. I thought it was a funny rip, a little bit of a self jab at Joan Rivers. But I mean, I think she is okay with that. I think her character being a character was just right up her wheelhouse, and then plus it being a parody of C-3PO. I mean, I thought it was just pretty brilliant. You guys, what do you think? Go ahead, either one of you.
I mean, I love Spaceballs. My son loves Spaceballs. He's 13, and it was one of his favorite movies like 2 years ago. He still quotes it. But yeah, Joan Rivers as Dot Matrix. I don't know. You pretty much said it all. I mean, it is Joan Rivers basically kind of making fun of herself. Like any good comedian should be able to laugh at themselves, and she obviously does.
Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, that lift between like Joan Rivers and C-3PO. Like, who thought that could possibly work? But Mel Brooks is a genius. So
yeah, way genius. Thrash, what do you think?
I thought it was a very good fit for one of for Mel Brooks, because he always tries to bring in the sort of nagging Jewish matron, and Dot Matrix is perfect as that. So it was a nice transition from the very genteel 3PO to the very matriarchal thought, okay, who better to play that than
Right.
Joan Rivers, who was at her prime at that time.
Yeah.
I got to see her actually live once in the Cape Cod Melody 10 years ago, but that's
No way.
another story. Yeah. Actually, I didn't have a ticket, so they threw me out. I had to listen to it from the parking lot. But I got to be present for her show.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to try this again. Sparodio one says it's good to be Team Star Trek and Team Star Wars. They're both great.
It's Sparrow Deo. So it's Sparrow God. Deo is God.
Oh,
and
I like
one.
Sparodio better, but okay, Sparrow Deo. I'll work on it. I'm sorry.
It's all right.
Oh, any input onto the being team both?
I mean, it's a good life, you know.
Yeah. I'm definitely both at this point. There's as much, I know we talked about this on the thing, but there's as much I liked on each one, and you know. But we'll talk about that later. I don't want to give everything away. All right, go ahead.
John Collins says, Ian, I watched both your new videos. The audio is difficult to understand on both of them, and your comedy is very dark. Are you using comedy as a cathartic process for yourself?
You know, not really. You would think so, but not really. I know both of them are the audio, but I can't do anything about it. I'm just recording, you know, from my phone what's being projected out there. And so and it's live and it's in a big room, and you know, it's not like I'm got a microphone straight into my phone or anything like I do for this kind of stuff. So that's just kind of how it is right now, unfortunately. Yeah, so I wasn't happy about the audio either, but I turned it up as much as I could turn it up so that people could hear it. Is the comedy is dark, but is it cathartic? Well, being cathartic makes me look like less of a jackass. So, so sure, it's cathartic. But quite honestly, I just thought it was kind of funny. You know, I thought, well, this is dark, but it's also funny. So I do. That's not all of my humor, obviously. But yeah, right. There's a joke I'm going to release soon about getting beat as a kid, and I guess that could go pretty dark as well. You know, like not having time out, but having to get spanked. So that could seem to be dark. I don't know. I guess it leans that way, but I'm really not trying to be that way. Maybe it's natural. So we'll see.
Emily Mill in the house says, "Hey y'all."
Hey Emily.
Oh, and here's a good one.
Yes, good to see you, Emily.
Crazy Joe Adventures, welcome, says Brad Bird wrote Batteries Not Included pre-Pixar.
I didn't know Brad Bird was involved in that. That's really cool. That's a cool tidbit.
I didn't know either. I don't know much about Batteries Not Included anyway, so
it's a great movie.
It's one that I got and I need to watch. I know Batteries. I think I have. Is it the one with the elderly people in it?
Yeah, they're like they own like an apartment complex or something that's like being torn, or that people want to tear down because it's an 80s movie.
Yeah.
And these little tiny robots that like build themselves out of just random bits of junk around the building, basically save them. And yeah, it's run by two old people, Hume Cronin and can't remember Jessica. I can't remember her name off the top of my head. Yes, Jessica Tandy. That's her.
Yeah.
I was racking my brains as well, by the way. As soon as you said Jessica, a little boop.
I could see it in your face.
Yeah.
I do that a lot, you know.
And was the one girl who was in it also in Rush Hour as well?
Maybe.
Yeah, I think
Elizabeth Pena.
She's Latina.
Yeah, I think it's Elizabeth Pena, and I think she is in both. Yeah.
She died recently. Well, not recently, but she passed away. Yeah.
That's a bummer.
Yeah. All right, Sparrow Deo.
Sparrow Deo one says, I like Sparrow Deo.
Hey,
Daylight come and we want to go home. We could just go on that one. I know that's one of those songs you start and it's hard to stop. You don't know when you've done it for too long. You know, you're like, okay, like verse 5, everyone.
One more time. Mike and Kathy says, "What's up, everyone?"
Hello, Mike and Kathy. Glad you could be joining us.
Let's see what else we got here. Oh, here's a good one. James Guy says, Geoff Peterson was the robot skeleton sidekick on The Late Show. Grant
Imahara
built
He's
him.
one of the Mythbusters. Yeah.
Okay, so somebody has to explain all of that to me. I know who the Mythbusters
It was
is.
the Jeff from The Late Show that we were trying to rack our brain from earlier.
Okay.
But that he was built by Greg, or whatever his name was, Imahara.
Okay. Cool. From the late show. So this would have been more
John Collins, he specifies which Late Show. Jeff was the sidekick robot on The Late Show with Craig Ferguson, the CBS program.
Oh, okay. All right. I haven't really watched too much of Craig Ferguson, so I don't really know that reference too well. So that's why I would have left it out personally.
I watched a little bit of it in college, but it was college, so I don't really remember it too well.
All right. Now, did you drink or did you smoke pot or both? Be honest.
Yeah, okay, I'll be honest. It was both.
All right. You geek. Which did you like better? Were you team alcohol?
I'm not going to answer that question.
Oh, come on.
I liked them both. I didn't like to do them both at the same time because then you get really sloppy, and I don't like that feeling. But yeah, I like them both.
All right. We'll keep it's just between you and us and the internet
and the whole internet.
All right.
7 billion. And the androids from the Mud episode of Star Trek.
More Star Trek, yeah.
Which is one of the funniest episodes they ever did.
Was that because I was thinking, was that the one with the girl with his wives?
Mud's women, yeah.
Mud's women, yeah. He lands on a planet controlled by robots.
Oh, okay.
And they end up trying to enslave humans because they need something to do. And they use logic to overwhelm the robots' memory banks. And Spock gives one of the funniest lines, "Logic is a bouquet of pretty flowers that smell bad." And that's like one of the most quoted Star Trek lines in the original series. Oh, and Mike and Kathy have another good one. Gort, the day the Earth stood still, is it a robot?
I mean, yeah, right?
Right. I think so. The guy who's all silver.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's I think that's a robot. Maybe they grew silver there in their planet, and that's a biological, entity on whatever that planet is. Did you see the reboot of that with
Yeah, unfortunately. I'm always defending remakes on my channel because I usually like remakes, but the remake of the day I will never defend that.
Oh, really?
I love Keanu Reeves and I love Jennifer Connelly and I love Kathy Bates. I love everybody who's in that movie. I just really don't like it.
Yeah, I get it. I understand that. Totally understand. It's like me with Batman Returns. Like, I love everybody in it. I thought they did a fabulous job. I just hated the movie.
Yeah.
Couldn't stand it. So
fair.
Yeah.
There was a TV show, Superplex. He didn't mention it here, but he mentioned it on my page. Does anybody remember the old TV show, very short-lived, Holmes and Yo-Yo?
No.
John Shook. It's a cop buddy comedy TV series. And he plays an android who gets paired with, I know the guy's name. I can't think of it off the top of my head. He plays the bad guy from Splash. He's the one thing I can think of off the top of my head. He was also in, but they played two cops. John Shook is a robot, and they have all kinds of weird adventures. And the gimmick is, anytime an electronic device goes off near him, it ruins John Shook's programming. Like, he's by somebody with a garage door, and when the guy opens the garage door, he does a backflip. and hilarity ensues. But I do remember it.
Now, what was this, a PBS thing, or was this a?
No, it was prime time on, I want to say CBS maybe.
And how long did this last?
Oh, like 5 or 6 episodes. And this would have
Okay.
been in the 1976. I think I was 8 or 9 at the time.
I gotcha. Right.
I was -2.
I'm essentially older than you young whippersnappers.
I know.
I always think I have a lot of obscure knowledge of sci-fi and old TV shows, but Thrash, you always just knock me out of the water. Like,
oh yeah,
it's what I do. It's what I do. Let's see what else we got going on here. Lance Chafin says R2D2 and C3PO.
Well, of course, check this out. Now, do you remember? So you can you see the picture with the with the thing on the side? So that's
Hidden Fortress style.
Yeah, that's an homage to the Hidden Fortress. I had just spent a lot of money on clothes, and I promised myself I wasn't going to buy anything else, any other clothes. And I saw that, and I'm like, I've got to have it. There's just no way. And luckily, I only promised myself. It wasn't like I promised anybody else. I was just out buying clothes. So I was.
That's how it always is. You promise yourself you're not going to do it, and then you immediately see something.
It's the coolest shirt, man.
It is.
I was just like, holy smokes, I've got to have that shirt. So, yeah, I mean, R2D2, C3PO. I mean, there's some of the best robots around. They definitely set the standard in a lot of ways as far as robots in film are concerned. I mean, I think they do anyway. They're clearly robots. They're not androids. They've got some, I guess C3PO's got some android qualities to him, but he's really not an android. They're not cyborgs. They are robots. And to me, they do, like, I mean, it's just like, every robot is. Now, there were robots before. I get it. I understand. And it's not like George Lucas didn't build his ideas on previous ideas, but the way he mixed those ideas together in C3PO and R2D2, I think is very unparalleled as far as the robot world is concerned. Anybody else can chime in on that if you want to.
But George Lucas was like a master of taking the archetypal characters and putting them in a sci-fi setting. So, that was what he did with R2D2 and C3PO, and it works so beautifully.
Yeah.
Lance Chafin says the Tin Men from Wizard of Oz. We mentioned that earlier. What do you guys think?
Go ahead. Either one of you. Go on.
I don't know. He's the one who didn't have a brain. Heart. Okay.
He didn't have a heart.
It was the Scarecrow who didn't have a brain. Right. I haven't seen Wizard of Oz in years. I have no input on this one.
What do you think, Thrash? Go ahead.
He is a man made of metal. If he's an actual robot or just an enchanted suit of metal, is subject for debate. But we're talking high fantasy here, so you know what? I'm going to give it to you.
Yeah.
He does kind of fit that Data mold of like wanting to be more human because he's lacking a heart. I can kind of see that.
Right. He doesn't, go ahead.
And he's that vague, that strangely well-informed, like he's the one who warns him about all the dangers in the forest. And so, yeah, there are certain robot qualities. I think perhaps what happened is people who later went on to write robot characters may have used him as an influence.
There you go.
Just saying.
I gotta give you that. I mean, I gotta say that's for real. There is a theory about Wizard of Oz that I can't remember. I haven't looked it up for a while, but basically it was like a play on life, the robot represented industry because it wanted oil was the first thing it said, and it didn't have a heart. And the lion, the Scarecrow represented the masses that consume, like, because it doesn't have a brain, it doesn't really take in what it what it is, you know. And then the cowardly lion was the church. It's a lion, you know, it's got all the strength in the world, but it's a coward. It won't stand up for what's right and stuff like that. I heard this a while back, so I'm probably butchering it, but has anybody else heard that analogy or that theory that's really what it's an allegory, basically, like the Wizard of Oz is an allegory for society.
Sounds like something that would have blown my mind in college.
Well, it is out there. It is. I know that there's even like YouTube videos on it and stuff like that. It's just been a long time since I watched it. You feel really old when you watch a YouTube video and it says 15 years. It's like, this was published 50. Like, what? This was published.
How is that possible?
The first Jurassic Park is 30 years old, guys.
Almost, not quite yet. I know, because it's on my 30-year rule. I have to keep track of everything as it turns 30.
I see. I got you.
It's like, but it terrified. When I was a kid, like 30 years ago, was World War II. So
Yeah.
it's like the perspective is just changing so great. I can't stand it.
Yeah.
I am ceasing to become culturally relevant in my own time.
Right. So I have a question for you, Tug. So you're one of those cuspers. You know, you're right on the edge. You're the Oregon Trail generation. Sometimes it's called.
Totally. Yep.
Sometimes it's called. Well, I forgot the other name of it. Zennial. What do you identify more as? Do you identify more as Gen X, or do you identify more with millennial?
I definitely identify more with Gen X. I still feel like I was part of Gen X because I was the youngest of three brothers. So like they were definitely in the Gen X category, and I'm just like right there on that edge. But because I was always like getting my pop culture through my brothers, I was always getting the Gen X pop culture. So
yeah.
I identify more with Gen X than anything else.
That's cool. I've noticed that too. When you get somebody who's on the cusp, it normally depends on whether or not they're the oldest or youngest. If they're the oldest, then they normally more identify with the next generation. If they're younger and they have older siblings, because then they influence them, you know, from that previous generation. So that's always just been really interesting. Do you have a place though where you kind of identify more as a millennial, or no? Maybe in technology.
Yeah, maybe technology. I think I have a hard time remembering what it was like before the internet. Whereas most people who are Gen X remember it a lot better than I do. It's still, even then, like my early memories of the internet was like really, really slow dial-up, you know, GeoCities and stuff like that, and America Online, you know, getting those discs in the mail.
AOL. I never even had an AOL account. I came kind of late to that whole game, but I mean, satisfactorily late. You know, it was one of those things where when I got involved, it really was the internet as we know it, just not as good. Where at the very beginning of the internet, it was just like a crap show. You know, it was just like, what the hell's going on here? We don't know. AOL, you got to pay money to have an email account and stuff. But actually, by the time I think I even got an email account, it was free by then. So, I mean, I kind of feel fortunate that I missed all that spaghetti being thrown at the wall, finding out which one will stick, kind of a thing.
Those like long pages with like the music that auto plays and the blinking banners and
Yes, right.
The dark old days.
Yeah, but and well, I mean, I was on before YouTube, of course, but I remember even then, you know, like trying to look up a video, and like, you know, downloading a video file you might as well just go have a picnic, come back and watch your 3 minutes of it, or your minute and 30.
I'll rotate the tires.
You know? Do you remember a site called Cookies and Milk?
No.
It was before YouTube. It was basically where you kind of got some fun videos. There was a lot of Star Wars. There was I remember there was a Anakin what's that guy? Gosh, can't believe it, man. Gosh, who's that? Yeah, Napoleon. Yeah, Anakin Dynamite. Have you ever watched Anakin Dynamite? Oh yeah,
you gotta funny, but no.
Oh, you got to go watch it. Yeah, Anakin Dynamite's hilarious. He's like, "What are you gonna? I'm only gonna be the best Jedi in the world."
He said like 50 of them.
Yeah. Oh, that's one of them too in there. He's like,
I
like,
took a stab at it. I haven't seen it, but I guessed.
what did you do all summer? Duh, I killed a bunch of sand people. It's pretty funny. Anakin Dynamite. You got to look it up. It's an old, even on YouTube. It's one of those YouTube videos. It's like, hey, it's 15 years old. But go ahead. What's next on our list here?
The Foundation asks an excellent question. What are people's thoughts on Westworld series versus the movie?
I'll let you guys go ahead on that. Go ahead.
I have a lot of thoughts, so I can do this.
Please.
I respect the original Westworld movie. I respect it because this is Michael Crichton directing a movie for the first time, and it basically set the stage for things like the Terminator. Without Westworld, there would be no Terminator. But I don't actually like the movie very much. I think it's kind of all over the place and doesn't make a lot of sense. I love the first 2 seasons of Westworld. I thought it was really, really good. The TV show, the HBO TV show, it was a little too like trying to be edgy, but I did really like the kind of like puzzle box aspect to it and trying to unravel the mystery. I'm a sucker for that sort of thing. But then it kind of went off the rails after that. After they actually left Westworld, like I didn't really see what the point of the show was anymore, and it was just getting convoluted for convoluted's sake. And yeah. So I did like this series more than I liked the movie, but I feel like the movie's definitely been way more influential than the TV series.
Thrash, you stab at it and I'll stab last.
Well, I haven't seen the TV series, so I can only talk about what I've seen in the movie. The movie came out when I was a kid, and I saw it when I was a kid. And it was just sort of like... I will grant you, looking at it mechanically as an adult with a better appreciation of film, it is kind of all over the place. It would have literally worked better as a series of vignettes, to be honest with you. The coolest thing about it is the who's who. When you watch that movie, like, oh my God, he was in War of the Worlds, and oh my God, he was in The Time Travelers, and oh my God, it's like, it's a who's who. Anyone who had ever done science fiction ends up in that movie. And so it's fun to do it. It would be fun to do it as a watch party. But you're right. Other than unless you're a huge fan of Yul Brynner, which again I am. But
Yul Brynner, man. Yeah.
I cannot say the movie has really stood the test of time. But you know what? I think that's what the funnest thing about 70s sci-fi was. It was just so out there. I've had many chats on many occasions about my favorite version of Invasion of the Body Snatchers, the 1978 one, just because it's so real. You have Robbie Duvall dressed as a priest on a swing set, breaking the fourth wall, and no one's talking about this. And I'm like, I love this movie.
The funny thing about that is that Robert Duvall was just there. Like, they were filming that day, and Robert Duvall just happened to be there. And they're like, here, put on this priest outfit and get on the swing.
Wow.
Why not?
Wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah, they filmed that movie at guerrilla style, like guerrilla, Guer.
Yeah.
They basically just had cameras and they would wander around San Francisco with Donald Sutherland and just film, and without permits, without anything. They got away with so much, but it's one of the reasons it feels so real is because they are actually filming real San Francisco, people on the street, the real people on the street. I love that.
Yeah.
There's a scene where there's this guy running hysterically to his car, and you think, oh my God, he knows, or he's just having a breakdown, or because of the conspiracy, or something's going on with him. He was just some guy who was running to his car.
Yeah,
they just happened to catch it.
Oh, wow.
That's like right at the beginning of the movie too. Yeah,
it is. It is.
That's cool.
It's a poor schlub who's trying to
just get to work or something. Yeah.
So I have not seen Westworld since I was a kid. And when I was a kid, I loved it. It was one of those shows that came on late at night. And I didn't see it. Of course, I didn't see it in the theater. I only saw it on television, and I loved it. So I don't really have an adult perspective on it, and I'm sure I wouldn't be able to disagree with anything you've said as far as it being all over the place. But I don't have a memory of that because, of course, I wasn't, sitting around smoking a pipe at 7 years old. Well, let me tell you about this movie. So I did watch the first 5 or 6 only episodes of Westworld the HBO series, and it's too depressing for me.
It is really depressing. It's pretty bleak.
I was like, gosh, I can't handle it. So I mean, that's just my perspective on it. So, all right.
No, that's perfectly valid because it is
Yeah.
really bleak. It's not for everyone.
It's
One
tough
more
for me
little
to get
tidbit.
through. Yes, go ahead.
Because I'm sure a lot of our friends don't know this. Some of them might. There was a very short-lived TV series in like 1978, 79 that nobody remembers. And it was basically it was totally different from both the modern TV show and the original film. What happened was it was Cold War paranoia, and what happened was this evil entity, they didn't say which one, but was using robots to try to have like fifth columnists in the United States. It didn't last long, but it was sort of a sci-fi political intrigue show. So there were actually two shows based on Westworld. I just wanted that right on the record.
I remember when I did a video on Westworld, the movie. I was looking for clips of that TV show, and let me tell you, it's really hard to find.
Yeah.
I believe it. I'm one of 6 people who remember it. So,
Right.
and we didn't have VCRs back then. Again, we're
That's
talking
true.
like 1978. Only there was one kid in my class who had a VCR in 1979
or 79. Wow,
79. Yeah, they did
that's
have them,
still
but
crazy.
it was there was one kid. It was like it was like a microwave, like the rich kid in your neighborhood had one, but that was it. And of course, because there was nothing to watch, there were no video stores back then. The whole thing you used it for was if you had to miss your show, you would set it to record your show while you were gone, and that's what people did.
Good luck being a genius doing that. Mine just flashed 12 the whole time
So
we had
complicated.
I know. I couldn't figure it out. I mean, I could. I just didn't put my mind to it.
When I was a kid in the 80s, I actually had figured out how to set it, and I set it so that it would record every single night. It would record Night Court off of Chicago WGN every single night. So I had Night Court memorized as a kid because I'd seen every episode 100 times.
All right. Well, let's get to these comments. We promised the interaction.
Superplex says Westworld was Jurassic Park before Jurassic Park.
Yeah, they're basically the same idea.
Yeah. I mean, it's just instead of
but
robots,
they're both written by the same guy. So
yeah, I know.
I didn't know that. That's cool.
Oh yeah, Michael Crichton. Les Chafin says, Thrash, are you doing the after party on Thursday? Yes, I am. Not sure the exact time, but just be watching for it. Let's see what else we got going here.
I know John Collins had a kind of a long one. It might have been a while back.
I think we covered those, but
it was one we hadn't covered. Maybe I'll try to find it here. I know that.
Here it is.
Okay, go ahead.
John Collins says, please answer the serious question from your last episode. Maybe it's just my special education mind that didn't get around the concept, but how could robots actually take over if humans built them?
Well, humans make mistakes. That's the thing. If you don't have the proper safeguards, or if you don't think through the safeguards properly, then you open yourself up to that sort of thing. Even Isaac Asimov's 3 laws, as airtight as they seemed, there's always an exception. There's always a way around them. And I think when you're dealing with something as complicated as artificial intelligence, you're gonna make mistakes. So there's your answer.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more with that. I mean, basically, they make mistakes, or I mean, I don't think it will ever really happen. I mean, quite honestly, I don't believe that it will ever really happen.
Me neither, honestly.
But in given a world where any possibility is possible, could they become more advanced and exploit mistakes and stuff like that, and learn to self-replicate and learn that that their survival is important to them, and decide to destroy us? I mean, that would kind of be the idea behind it.
And speaking as a YouTuber, I don't think robots are going to take over the world, because I'm dominated by the algorithm. The algorithm is going to take over the world.
Right.
Just to give it a sort of sci-fi universe precedent, there was a case in Space 1999 where they go to a planet of androids, which have taken over and have enslaved the humans. And in that, the explanation is, well, we designed the android, the robots, the machines, we designed it as best as we could, but then we designed them to actually take over. And they started making better machines than we could. So what happens is you eventually will take humans out of the equation. And again, self-replicating, a little far-fetched, but a computer can actually design computer programs much faster, so it would eliminate mistakes faster. So it is theoretically impossible that once the computers start designing more advanced equipment and take humans out of the equation, they could sidestep us altogether. It would take a number of extra steps.
Yeah. Well, well, it's not really on the subject, but I don't know why it came to me, because parallel to it is the whole, that we're living in a simulation kind of a thing. And
that's a philosophical can of worms. Yeah.
Yeah. What's his name? The guy who writes Dilbert, Scott. I forgot his name.
Oh,
Adkins.
yes.
He wrote Dilbert. Anyway, I think he wrote Dilbert, and he wrote one of those cartoons. He believes that. He believes, and he's actually, people don't know this about him. He was on Joe Rogan's podcast like a long, long time ago. And he's actually a hypnotherapist. And he's very, very intelligent guy. And he does believe that we live in a simulation. So, oh well. Some people think the robots have already taken over and we're in the Matrix as it is.
Well, we were talking about Day the Earth Stood Still earlier. The story that it's based on, or very loosely based on, Farewell to the Master, is all about like a man and a robot coming to Earth, like an alien man and an alien robot. And you just assume, as the story goes, that the man, the human-like character, is the one who is the master. But in the end of the story, the twist is that the robot has been the master the whole time. Like the robot is basically in control of all the humanoid life forms. But the movie barely has anything to do with the book or the story. Just took the general premise and ran with it.
Very interesting.
Well, in the Dune saga, isn't the reason why they don't have robots, even though they have the technology capability for it, they had built them, had artificial intelligence, and ended up having to fight a civil war with them because the robots ended up trying to take over?
Yeah, which I think is a really clever, as a sci-fi writer myself, that's a really clever way around the problem of dealing with artificial intelligence in the far future. I thought that was ingenious to say, okay, we had artificial intelligence and we had computers, but then they started to take over, so we had to fight a war with them, and that's why in this future I'm allowed to be more fantasy than sci-fi, and it's still being in a sci-fi setting. I really appreciate that.
Tell everybody about your book, though. I mean, just while we're on it, because do you have a link to it as well? If you want to find a link, if you want to find a link and plug it in, please, by all means, do. But tell everybody about it first.
Well, it's called Paradox. It's about time travel, life on Mars, a future interplanetary war between Earth and Mars. Takes a lot of cues from Heinlein, because I love Robert Heinlein. Yeah. I steal a lot of things from I steal almost directly a lot of stuff from The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. It's, I don't know,
homage. You did an homage.
It is an homage, yes. But if you like that sort of thing, if you like, futuristic post-apocalyptic super soldiers traveling through time, go for it. The thing for me was I'm a time travel nut. I really love time travel, but I really get frustrated by time travel stories that have inconsistent rules. And so I wanted to write a time travel story that stuck to the rules, that said, okay, these are the rules of the time travel that I'm dealing with, and I'm not going to break these rules no matter what. And that's how I came up with it. I just went from there. And this is a universe where everything has to happen. Like you can't change timelines. You're not dealing with any of that stuff. Time is time. You can't break it.
Did you like Lost?
I loved Lost for the first 5 seasons. I didn't hate the last season, but I was very disappointed by it.
You were okay. All right. Like I actually liked all of it all the way through. But
I appreciated what the last season was trying to do. I really did. I just felt like it wasn't that it didn't stick the landing with the characters, because the characters are wrapped up perfectly. I really appreciate how they do that with the characters. And I feel like the ending is greatly misunderstood by the internet. But I don't know. There was something about the last season that still just kind of irks me, and I can't really put it into words.
Well, I need you to put it into words one of these days. Think about it, and well, I'll get back.
We can talk about Lost, because I love Lost. In fact, I just recently rewatched the whole thing with my wife. So
yeah, I love.
If you ever want to do an episode on Lost, just tell me. I'm
It
there.
would be a little bit out of the genre because I do try to do 70s, 80s,
Yeah, it's not
90s.
really Gen X stuff. Yeah,
But I might have to make an exception on that one because I was such a huge fan of the entire series, and I came into it late. I came into it after I think season 4.
Wow. Okay.
Wow, you did come in late.
Well, whenever it was that they started playing all 4 episodes, they played 4 episodes in a row on Sci-Fi Channel. Whenever that was.
Yeah, that was around season 4 or 5. Yeah.
Yeah. So which was kind of good because I got to watch all the seasons. I got to binge watch all the way up to where we were, and then I had to wait like everybody else did. But I know everybody was talking about it, and the thing is just at that time I had a friend who told me, who told me that that you watch one. He goes, just go home, watch one episode. And he says, just watch the first episode and tell me if you can stop. If you can stop,
It's like crack.
He says,
I did that to a lot of my friends.
Yeah. And it was just at that time that all the episodes that they all came out, or that they were playing those 4 in a row on Monday nights or something like that on
One of the things that I loved about Lost, that I don't think it gets enough credit for, is that it came out at this like perfect time where the community on the internet was still kind of a thing. Like, it was still new, and podcasts were really, really young. Like, they'd only just started. And so like Lost was the first TV show that you could watch an episode and then go online and just obsess about it with everyone and just talk about it.
Yes.
You didn't really have that before Lost. And I think Lost, it gave me a sense of community because I was just out of college and, I wasn't really sure what I was doing with my life, and just being able to talk to a bunch of randos on the internet about a TV show that I was obsessed with was great. It was wonderful. So,
yeah, I thought it was great too. I thought it was great myself.
I loved it. I have to confess, I can tell you exactly when I stopped watching, and this will be good cannon fodder for when we do have our discussion on it. When they brought Michael back.
It was really sloppily done. I'll give you that.
Well, and I love him as an actor. He was great on Oz. I even liked him in Romeo and Juliet as Mercutio.
Right.
But it's just like, in all these seasons, you wrap up one subplot. I come back and you're bringing him back. No. You've wrapped up one thing. We're moving forward. We're not going back. We're moving. And when they're like, oh no, this is a whole new, and I go, no, it's not. I'm out. And I literally stopped watching when he came back. And was that season 5?
That was season 4. That was the beginning of the time travel. Like, in season 4, they had The Constant, which is the episode where Desmond is like jumping through time, Slaughterhouse-Five style, which is probably my favorite episode. But that was right around the same time that Michael showed up on the show, because he showed up on the tanker or whatever. Yeah.
Oh yeah, where everyone kept killing themselves. Yeah.
Yeah. Right. All
So
right. Well,
you started watching as I was getting out.
I was watching from the very beginning. I saw the first episode when it aired, and I was hooked.
Oh, you did? No,
yeah.
I was. Yeah. All right. Well, let's. We got to make sure we're doing our diligence to pay attention. This is where they get to interact with us.
We're supposed to let them
do this. I'm serious. I think we could just make a full-time job just out of this right here, guys.
Easily, hands down. Music Girl 67 says, hello there, everyone, and good evening to you all. Hope your week is off to a fabulous start. I do remember Holmes and Yo-Yo. It aired on ABC. I was close. And lasted 13 episodes. You can see a handful of them here on YouTube.
I think a lot of people have already corrected her and said it was NBC. So, just saying.
And they have. Well, I said CBS. So we were all over the place.
I have no idea. So
What was it? I missed it a little bit. I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, yeah.
I keep doing that. I'm sorry.
It's all right. It's all
Here,
good.
Where is it?
Okay. Holmes and Yo-Yo aired on ABC. I never watched it. At least 13 seasons.
yeah,
Yeah.
I've never even heard of it until today. So
What about? Yeah, I'm just learning about this right now as we speak.
That was that cop show that I was telling you about from the 70s.
Oh yeah, right.
the
Okay.
garage door opener, yeah, all that stuff.
Okay. What about Mac and Cheese? Remember that one?
Mac
I
and
remember
Me, you
Mac
mean?
and Me.
No. No. No, I'm just kidding with you. No, it's a show within a show. It was on Friends. Joey was in a show called Mac and Cheese, and cheese stood for something, some type of robot. Were you either you Friends fans?
Not really.
Oh,
I mean, I watched it a few times because it was on, but it
yeah.
wasn't like I wasn't obsessed with it like some of my peers.
Are you? Well, I mean, we've only been talking geek culture stuff as far as like sci-fi. Are you into like sitcoms at all or no?
I loved Frasier, Seinfeld.
Oh.
I saw your video on Frasier just like yesterday. So,
Oh, cool. Right on.
Yeah, I mean, I liked it, and like I was telling you before, I was obsessed with Night Court for some reason as a kid.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. You did mention Night Court. Yeah, well, Night Court was the bomb. I loved
It's
Night
awesome.
Court.
Yeah, I even watched the short-lived John Larroquette show that came on after Night Court went off the air.
I did see that one too. Yeah, I thought that was weird.
It was weird. It was like
That
it was
was
trying to
weird.
be funny, but it was also really tackling like John Larroquette's alcoholism in like a really
Yeah.
serious way in the middle of this comedy. It was very odd, especially since I was only like 14 or something. I didn't know how to take it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What about Arrested Development?
I love Arrested Development. I never saw it. I never saw it after the first 3 seasons when it went to Netflix. I didn't. I heard bad things and I just avoided it.
It's worth watching, but I mean, to me it was worth. Actually, I've not finished season 5. I just haven't. I just dropped off Planet. Even season 5 was actually a little bit better than season 4, but season 4 was just a turd. It sucked. I was really upset, but I mean, I'm glad that I watched it, though. You know what I mean? I'm glad that I watched it. All right, we got to get back to these comments here.
We do. I've been trying to
Sorry about that.
Zuplik says Music Girl 67. Holmes and Yo-Yo debuted in the mid 70s and it premiered on NBC. Perhaps there were repeats.
Perhaps there were repeats.
Let's see.
I'm just picturing Sherlock Holmes with a yo-yo,
Zuplex has a good one here. The Tin Man stood for the industrial northern states that economically dominated the people of the Midwest.
Okay.
Sure. Sounds good.
I love a good allegory theory as much as the next guy, if not more. So, yeah, I'm down.
Right. All right, what else we got?
Let's see. There was a good one here. I'm just scrolling down to it. Oh, here's a good one. Music Girl 67 says, does anyone remember the movie Daryl from the mid-'80s? I saw it hundreds of times. I think it played on HBO back in the day.
Yes, I do remember Daryl. That was one of the movies that I actually recorded on my VCR. So yeah, because we had like an HBO free weekend. They used to do that.
Oh,
we didn't actually
yes.
subscribe to HBO, so we'd get free weekend. And I would just have the VCR run all day long. Like every 6 hours, I would switch out the tape. And yeah, so that's how I caught Daryl. And I watched it a few times as a kid. I really liked it. I haven't seen it since then. I don't really remember it very well, but I do remember loving it.
Yeah, I have not seen it for a while. I know I saw it, but I can't remember the other show that I was talking about. But I got to look it up here, where they had the Killer Sams, and it was I don't know. It wasn't really a spoof on Daryl, but it was like the kid and his older brother talked him into the idea that he was a robot, and that and that he wasn't really a robot, but he talked him into the idea that he was a robot and he didn't know it, and he was a killer. And they called him Killer Sam's, and he went on and he was doing crazy stuff. He was crawling under a truck and hanging onto it and pulling himself up on the logs and on the back of this log truck and stuff because he was convinced that he was the robot and he was a Killer Sam. So it was great. I can't remember the name of that movie though, but we got to see it. But Daryl was good. Yes. All right.
John Collins says Max Headroom.
I was there when Max Headroom came out. I remember I remember that was cool. You know, that was like the cutting edge thing that we were going. That was like how should I put this? That was like the next step real robots. You know, like okay, that's what it's actually going to happen next. Is we're not going to have like a robot who walks around, but next we're going to have an artificial intelligence on screen. And so it kind of seemed like that would be like a real logical next step to me anyway.
No, yeah, that's the idea.
Yeah.
Sparrow Deo, I have to admit, he says Michael R. And I'm guessing that's a reference to Lost.
Lost. Yeah, it's got to be.
But
Yeah.
I got to tell you, you know what my first thought was? What was the name of the robot in A Boy and His Dog?
Michael?
Yes. You guys seen A Boy and His Dog?
I have a copy, but I haven't actually watched it yet.
It's kind of tough to watch. It's in today's world, it's very, very, very cringy. At the time, it was that 70s cutting edge sci-fi we were just talking about. It's kind of a hard watch now. But yeah, the Michael, the robot is this sort of big hick dude, and we find out, spoiler alert, guys, he's a robot. And when they take him down, it makes a huge R sound. So I think either works in this case.
Hey, that's funny. I was just reminded of Logan's Run. It has a robot in it. The mad robot. I can't remember his name off the top of my head, but the one who went
Fox.
insane and was, Box. And he was like keeping people like frozen in the ice. Yeah.
Proteins from the sea.
Do you think Logan's Run should get a reboot, like a modern version of it?
Yes.
If they do, they should follow the book a little more. I love Logan's Run. It's one of those great 70s sci-fi movies. And I don't think that they should try to remake that because it belongs in the 70s. If you try to make that into a modern day movie, it's going to fail miserably, especially without Michael York. You need Michael York. But like, if they want to make a movie out of Logan's Run, they should read the book first and base it more on the ideas of the book. Because the book, it's similar, but it's a lot more. There's a lot more to the world than just the one city. Like the whole world is different. And there's a lot more world building in the book that I think you could translate that to a movie today that you couldn't have really done in the 70s. So that's my thought.
Yeah. Well, you were talking earlier about defending reboots and remakes and stuff like that. And of course I've got the in-between, hang on one second. Leslie, would you please come let Grace out, please? I've messaged you a bunch of times on it. She is dying in this room. We tried this experiment. It just went wrong. So please come let her out. All right. Okay. Back to what we were talking about. I know she's listening. What we're talking, oh yeah, making reboots. One of the places where I'm real strong on reboots is like if it was a matter of technology, like, you know, they wanted to do something but they couldn't quite do it. It was a good story, and now we have the technology to really kind of do it, not to reboot it just to reboot it just cuz, but there are some movies out there that you know, the technology is now caught up to what the idea was supposed to be, and I think Logan's Run's one of those movies. I mean, you know, where you can literally kind of see the strings on some of these things. Yes, it's good, it's classic. I mean, I would never want to take it away from that, but to reboot it to where we have it now, not to over exploit it and over exploit the technology, so it's all about the technology, but just to make the technology kind of catch up to what it wanted, what it wanted. Not the George Lucas thing. Can't stand that, putting a bunch of extra stuff in there and extra scenes. That's not what we were looking for, when it's in doing stuff. But I am looking for things like they didn't have the tech. It was a great story. It was a great try. And just the technology, the special effects just couldn't do it back then, couldn't do it justice back then, and could do it justice now is at least one of the reasons why I think reboots should happen.
No, I'm 1000% behind you on that one. I mean, there are other reasons you can reboot something. Like if you have a new spin on it that's interesting, that's a good reason to go. But if you have a new spin on it that's terrible, then don't do that.
Right.
And also don't remake something just because you're going to lose the rights or something. Don't remake. Like I just did a video on Poltergeist. The remake of Poltergeist is not a good movie. Even though it's got Sam Rockwell and Jared Harris in it, it's just not good because it doesn't offer anything new. It's just the same story told worse, Did you guys have you ever seen that that television no, it's on YouTube, but it was basically made for video, The Fantastic Four? I haven't seen the whole movie, but I've seen bits and pieces of it.
The first one, the
Corman one.
Yeah, the early one. I think it was like 96 or something like that. They made it. They did it because of that. They were going to lose the rights to it unless they did something with it or something like that. So they did that movie for that. It was just that's one of those movies so bad it's good though.
And they never planned to release it. Like the studio never planned to actually release it, which kind of makes me feel bad for everybody who's involved in it, because no matter how bad a movie is, everybody involved, you got to know that there's people in there who believe in the movie,
Yes.
And then for them to not even see the movie released is just so depressing to me.
Yeah, for sure. Well, we've had 3 emanations of Fantastic Four and they've all sucked.
I'm not going to disagree with you there.
The Chris Evans one was probably the best one of those, but they still are not great movies.
The cartoon was good. I like the cartoon.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. The cartoon. Yeah, for sure. All right. Sorry, guys. Let's get to these comments.
We're pontificating. It's what we do. James Dye says Max Headroom has a Star Trek connection. Matt Fuhrer was in an episode of Next Generation as a time traveler.
A time traveling con man, no less.
Oh, okay. All right. Right on. You have any thoughts, Thrash?
Michael Ferrer is actually considered, in my opinion, to be a sci-fi icon. He's actually, if you look at his IMDb, it's amazing just how much of his canon is sci-fi. He was in the original Stand miniseries as Trash Can Man. He did, was it The Masters of Sci-Fi? There was a short-lived anthology micro series. I want to say in the early 2000s.
I remember the series. I don't remember Matt Frewer in it, but yeah.
He did an episode.
I believe you. Like there was a
freaky one. Yeah. I'm trying to remember the name of it, but I think it was one written by Stephen King, I think. And but again, he's done lots of sci-fi actually. And,
he does pop up a lot, yeah.
Oh,
and Max Headroom was in Back to the Future too. So,
hang on one second. I gotta say goodbye to Tracy. Bye, Tracy.
Okay. Bye, Tracy.
Oh, hope you're okay. I just saw it. It's I'm looking at them as they're kind of rolling up, and I just saw her wanting to leave, and I just wanted to tell her I love her and hope she's doing okay. See ya. Oh, sorry. Go ahead. Go back to what you were doing.
The Stepford Wives were robots, though. Good point.
Spoiler alert, but yeah.
Sparadeo #1 says, totally a lost reference, Michael. But I love the equation with a boy and his dog. Thank you. That was a twofer.
I didn't quite get that.
Remember we were just talking about that?
Doing the Michael R.
Oh,
and
okay.
He was saying he was referring to the lost Michael, but a boy and his dog, which was my little interjection.
Gotcha.
So he was basically saying that my little tangent was well placed.
Mm.
Oh, Darrell Johnson. We never even get around to this one. Darrell Johnson says the androids in Blade Runner.
The replicants.
Yeah, replicants. Now, were they androids or were they just?
That's where you have to really like fudge the definition a little, because I mean they were artificially created, but they were artificially created by genetics and not by, you know, mechanical bits and bobs. So is that a robot? Is that an android? It's kind of an iffy question. Depends on how you define it.
I would say no. I would say I wouldn't. I mean, I would say they're artificially created, but then everything artificially created a robot?
Well, they see that's where it gets really fuzzy. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean,
I would say they're more robot than like the Cylons from the new Battlestar Galactica. I say new, but it's like 20 years ago. The newer Battlestar Galactica.
Right.
They weren't really robots. They were just people. They were indistinguishable from people.
Right. I think I mean, it's just genetically manipulated humans at some point, you know. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if they're really. I think there's got to be something. I'd have to put my mind to it.
It's tough. It is tough.
Well, to me, it's to me like in my brain, I want to say no. They're not robots or androids or cyborgs. I would just want to say that, but then being able to backtrack and justify that, I'm having trouble with. And so I would want to say that you'd have to have something kind of at least cybernetic or something in you to be a robot. I mean, I think if you just genetically make another human, you've just genetically made another human. I don't know. So, but I don't know. But it's one of those things that I've not, you know.
It's kind of like that legal definition of obscenity. Like, you know it when you see it. You know that that's a robot, and you know that that's not a robot.
Yeah. Or the legal definition of person.
Right.
The legal definition of person. That's kind of a weird one too.
That's a very weird one.
With well, no, I know everyone's brain's going to the abortion issue. Mine wasn't, but they used to be that corporations were considered personalities, and that to destroy a corporation was at one time, I think it was in the 80s. I don't know if it's still that way anymore, but at the height of Reaganomics. Oh, it is?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's what they call a legal fiction. It's like, it's for the ease of saying you can sue a corporation because a corporation is a person. You can't, if a corporation weren't a person, you wouldn't be able to sue them, but then you get into limited liability and blah, 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 blah. And I don't,
No, are you a lawyer?
I'm related to a lot of lawyers.
Okay. All right. That's
and
good.
his name's McGill.
I was going to be a lawyer at one time.
Any better call cell phones out there? His real name is Jimmy McGill.
McGill.
No.
Just in case people are wondering, like, what the heck is Thresh talking about now? I get that a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Oh, Tom the Hungry Jerk says he met Gregory Harrison and Heather Menzies back in 1977 before they died.
Oh, wow. Cool. Right on. That's awesome. That's really cool.
John Doe has a good one. There was a 50s movie about a man who put his brain in a robot body, and his young son is the only one who can stop him, is his son.
Oh, wow. Interesting.
That sounds like a fun 50s movie.
Yeah,
I remember that one. Yeah, he's a scientist and he's killed in some kind of accident, but they save his brain. But he wants to be there for his son. But the problem, so he shows up as a robot and says, "I'm not a robot. I'm a superhero, and I like to save children." And he becomes friends with the kid. But things kind of go off the rails when the wife decides she wants to marry somebody else, and the robot becomes jealous and things kind of go downhill from there. It's a great little movie.
That sounds awesome.
It is. It's awesome. And it has a weird name too, like the Phantom of New York or something. I'm racking my brains. It doesn't sound like a robot movie. I'm gonna have to do some digging and find this because I know I've seen it. It is. It's a great little movie. The robot is laughable. They had no budget. It was one of those Hell's Kitchen productions, but it's a fun little movie.
Well, what about no, it just left me. There's something right on the tip of my tongue, and it just went out of my head. Okay, all right, go back to the comments. It'll come to me. It'll come to me at the worst time. We'll be right in the middle of something, and I'll oh, that's what you were going to talk about.
Well, as always, our tangents had a tangent. Here's a good question. Music Girl 67 says, "How about Edward Scissorhands? Wasn't he a robot, sort of?"
It's more of the Tin Man, kind of like a fantasy. Like he was created by Vincent Price, like as a puppet, and like turned into a person. So yeah, that's kind of like in that Tin Man vein that you can kind of sort of squeeze him into that box, but he's more of just like a fantasy creature.
I'll go with that. I don't have any objections to that at all. I'd be 100% behind that.
Daryl Johnson has a good one.
RoboCop 2.
RoboCop 2.
Why not RoboCop 1?
Yeah, what's wrong with RoboCop 1? Well, that's like a classic cyborg. That's a cyborg.
Yeah, for sure. Yes.
Well, I think because in RoboCop 2, it's robots fighting robots.
Oh, well.
So he fights a robot in RoboCop 1.
Yeah.
Well,
he fights Ed 209. I mean, he eventually just blows him up with a grenade launcher, but he does fight Ed 209.
Yeah. I love RoboCop. I mean, it's one of the best shows out
and that's actually one of the remakes I do like. I really like the remake of RoboCop because I feel like it's different enough. It's taking a different tack. A lot of people don't like it, but I really like it for trying to take a more like serious psychological perspective on RoboCop. And
I haven't seen the remake. I haven't seen the reboot.
Everybody but me seems to hate it, but I love it. So,
you know, I have a real high tolerance for bad movies. Like I'll watch something, I'll be like, oh, I loved it, and everybody like, well, you didn't like this, I love it, and they'll point it out, and I'll be like, I can't disagree with anything you're saying, but for some reason, I still really liked it. You know, there's only one movie out there that everybody seemed to like that I absolutely hated, and that's Batman Returns. I get the worst crap over that movie. Oh man. All right, let's keep going with these comments.
Tell him he says Bugs Bunny had a Martian in it.
Yes. I don't think
supposed to be a big kaboom. Oh wow.
Yeah. Marvin the Martian.
In case you can't read it, it says, "You are making me very angry."
Love Marvin.
Yeah, he's awesome.
He was my favorite, hence the tat.
No, yeah, I would say so. I would want.
Not going to doubt your credentials there.
You're like, he's okay. I was looking for an okay tat.
Ross Gibb has a good one. He says, I would say he's more of a Frankenstein's monster than a robot, in reference to Edward Scissorhands.
Yeah.
That's true. I can see
but he
that.
did have some metal parts to him. The Scissorhands were the metal parts to him.
Well, the Frankenstein from the movie.
Yeah, it's true. That's hey, look, hey. He did have the bolts in his neck. Do you know that they actually tried to do that, by the way? Tried to reanimate life by frying people, by electrocuting them?
Yeah.
Did you know?
Tried that.
Yeah. You know what you get?
You get a fried corpse.
You get fried people. That's literally, they did try to do that.
I guess Ken is going to be.
Good night, Ken.
Good night, Ken.
All right, we'll see you.
Good night, Ken.
We are kind of coming up on the hour and a half mark. Well, if we've got some other ones in there, well, I mean, I kind of want to go. It doesn't have to be an hour and a half exactly, but you know, I mean, if there's more there, there's more there, and if people start dropping off, then we know that we've kind of run the conversation.
I had to do this one. I'm sorry, I had to.
Go ahead.
Mike and Kathy say Spock's brain. Arguably the worst episode of the original Star Trek series. Other people have their least favorites as well. But come on, brain and brain. What is brain? That's a line in the actual show. Brain and brain. What is brain?
My wife and I actually say that to each other all the time. Just like when we're having like one of those moments where we can't like think straight. We're just like, brain, what is brain?
Patterns of Force is pretty terrible too, but yeah. I think I want to give it to Spock's brain.
This one's come up a couple times here.
Okay, sure. John Collins says, do we dare broach the subject of L. Ron Hubbard?
You want to get sued?
Yeah. Yeah, I guess that's one of those things, huh? Like that society is very up on anything bad being said about him. You get that letter in the mail. Well, he was a fiction writer.
Yeah,
you know,
and some of his sci-fi is actually pretty good. I liked Battlefield Earth. So
I love Final Blackout. There's no robots in it, but I love Final Blackout. It's one of my favorite books.
You did like Battlefield Earth?
Like not the movie, the book.
Oh, the book. All right.
The movie is one of the worst movies ever made.
I've never even read the
It's
book.
one of those movies that like I like to watch because it's bad. It's so bad
Yeah,
it's good.
that
But
is
it's not a good movie.
that is one of those so bad it's good. Do you ever watch? It's called Fanboy Flicks. That's the name of the channel. But he does.
Seen a couple,
he's called it. The movie. The show's called Bad Movies with Mark or Weird Movies with Mark.
Right.
And it's actually it's one of my favorite shows, as I've mentioned many times on the program. It was that show and Toy Galaxy that were kind of my two influences. Like I really wanted to be something in between those two things. But he's done lots of So Bad They're Good movies on there, and Battlefield Earth was one of them.
Well, one of my YouTube inspirations was the channel Good Bad Movies or Good Bad Flicks or something like that.
Oh yeah, Good Bad Flicks. Yes, yeah. I like those guys too. They're pretty good.
Speaking of Warner Brothers characters,
Chicken Hawk.
What Jammin says, the Chicken Hawk.
Well, Jammin, thank you for showing up, by the way. And I seen you in there.
Oh, he's been here a while. We just haven't had a chance to get too much of his comments because we've been pontificating.
Chicken Hawk.
You remember he was a Czech.
Yeah, I totally remember him. I remember him totally.
Yeah.
I love him, but I don't know how that has to do with sci-fi and robots.
Oh, we were talking about Marvin the Martian.
Oh, okay. All right.
You have to watch for the patterns there, Ian.
Okay. Well, the patterns come late, and then, I forget this kind of thing. You know what I mean? Like, it's... You know what I mean? Like
it's a digression off of a digression off of
yeah.
We're all over the place. Let's face facts. We're
just having fun.
Let's see. Oh, I have to do one. James Dye says Spock's brain is the Star Trek vegetable rebellion from Lost in Space.
I remember that.
I don't know this episode at all. I'm gonna have to go
Stanley
watch it.
Kramer dresses up in a carrot costume and tries to negotiate with Dr. Smith. That's the high point.
Oh, okay.
And didn't they do a similar theme in one season of Space 1999, where they go to a planet where the plants and animals fought a war and the plants won?
I don't know.
I wouldn't know. I didn't watch Space 1999. Sorry.
I think if there really was a war, like if plants wanted to win, I think plants would win because they're everywhere. You know what I mean? Like if you could give them like a modicum of intelligence and they could do that chemical warfare thing.
Well, like Day of the Triffids. Yeah.
Or I was thinking, what was that M. Night Shyamalan movie? Where
The Happening,
where people just start killing themselves because the
plants were just making them crazy. Yeah,
right.
Earth was fighting back
against the evil people who are trying to domesticate it, I guess, or something like that.
Something like that. I don't think it
like
really.
We want to live here too, but all right, whatever. You don't like our smokestacks, apparently. All right, what else we got? We got anything else, or?
Well, Zooplex does have one good one.
Right.
No, well, that's a good one. Was Marvin a robot? I thought he was a Martian. No, I'm here. This is the one from Daryl Johnson I wanted to read. I just watched Robot Monster. Wow, it was sort of bad.
Robot Monster. I don't know what that is.
Isn't that the classic 50s? Like, yeah.
You've done it. If you've seen that clip where the alien is a guy in a gorilla costume with a ridiculous space helmet on and one big eye in the front, that's Robot Monster.
Very, very cheesy.
Incredibly. His secret weapon to destroy the last of humanity is a bubble machine.
Emily.
Emily says Robot Chicken.
Bark, 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 bark,
love it.
Bark,
love it.
Bark, 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 bark. Yeah.
He gets sued. All right. Oh, look who's
trying to get you a copyright hit. Yeah.
Look who's here. Now, BK, listen, if you're listening, do you remember the movie? So we'll get to your comment here, but I need your expertise. Where the older brother talked this little kid into believing that he was a robot and he wasn't real and he was a killer Sam. And And if anybody out there knows it, it would be you, my friend. And so the kid starts to do this crazy stuff. Like he starts doing all these daring stuff because the kid believes that he's not real, that he's a killer Sam. I'm glad you showed up for this. Like the third time I've mentioned it. So if you remember what that movie is, please let me know. But go ahead, read the comments. Sorry.
Well, this is outstanding. He actually knew what I was talking about. What a refreshing change. Big Alien says, "Hey, Thrash. The 1999 episode was Rules of Luton. Space 1999 was a great Jerry Anderson show." It certainly was.
Yeah, I don't know if you've listened to his. He has a radio show, Tug. I don't know if you listen to his, but he rebroadcasts it here on YouTube, and it is fantastic. It's one of the best shows you'll ever watch or listen to.
I've been meaning to check it out. I just have to find the time.
Yeah, I know. There's so much out there. There's so much good content out there that it's difficult to.
Yeah, he's shown up on my channel too, so like I owe him.
Yeah, right on. Well,
that may be my influence because I plug each of you to the other.
Yes, you do. Very much so.
Well, we try to plug everybody too. You know what I mean? Like here, if you're out there and we know about you and you're doing some cool stuff, then we want to say at least something about you. All right. Well, we're going to go ahead, unless we've got something else going on here, and wrap it up. We've gone past the hour and a half mark, which is cool, whatever. But I can see the comments are kind of starting to fail out just a little bit, and less stuff for us to riff on, which is fine. And we are definitely going to have the Unapologetic Geek back. This has been one of my of my favorite episodes and conversations. Yeah, we could talk about this all night, but we will have to have you back on a Star Wars versus Star Trek, and we'll just kind of list out what we liked about it, what we don't like about it, and and list and just kind of say ultimately where we fall. And listen, you ever want me on your show for anything, please, by all means.
I was going to say, if you wanted to join me on Sunday,
I'll be gone on Sunday, unfortunately.
That's a bummer.
But yes, please keep me updated too, especially if you do something a little bit more sci-fi. I would,
of course, like usually it'll be sci-fi. It's October and I'm a YouTuber. So.
Right. I'm the only YouTuber not doing anything horror related in October. So I think this is a 1 month I'd take off, but with that said, please let us know what's going on your channel. What do you got coming up? What do you got going on?
Well, like I was just saying, on Sunday, I've got Night of the Living Dead. I'm going to be watching Public Domain Theater with Thrash. So that'll be a lot of fun. I don't know if it'll just be you and me, Thrash. I'll find out. And then let's see, I'm working on a video on my most requested sequel, which is actually Bride of Frankenstein. Because I haven't done a video on that yet, and everybody wants me to, because everybody thinks Bride of Frankenstein's better than Frankenstein, and I disagree. So sizzle.
Well, cool. Thrash, what do you got going on?
Well, as Tug said, I'll be joining him for the Public Domain Theater this coming Sunday. I have rewatched.
That's a great name, by the way. I love that Public Domain.
I was so surprised nobody had taken it. Like, I did a Google search and I couldn't find it. And I was like, really? Nobody took that?
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, Thrash. Please, by all means, go ahead. I apologize.
Oh, and I have rewatched the film in anticipation.
I'm going to later this week. Yeah.
Just so I could brush up on it. By the way, I have some interesting spins on it that I'm sure if we can actually enter into the mix. And of course, I have my after party this Thursday, and am doing a show on milestones of nostalgia Thursday evening, but my after party will be after that. And other than that, the big news I got, for those of you who missed it, somehow YouTube has loosened up its restraints on advanced setting modes, and I now have a community page. So rather than post, and I know you all love my fun little post telling you what to expect coming up on my channel, now you'll actually see professional community pages. Well, I'll actually tell you, on this night I got this, and on that night I got that. So please be watching my channel for upcoming community posts.
Cool. And I got to put this in here. Brother Talks Brother Thinking, He's a robot. Josh and Sam, 1993. Thank you, BK.
There it is.
Really,
BK knows
really,
all.
he definitely knows a lot. That is for sure. So for me, the guy who runs the comedy show that I go to every week, which I am going to be hosting this week, is ran by a guy. His name's Stephen Keller, and he invited me this week to do the co-hosting with him at the program. So that's going to be really cool. But I'm going to be. We talked about Gen X comedians before, and so we're going to do a Gen X comedian part 2, and he's going to be on it. So that'll be Thursday. Well, we'll record it Thursday, and then we'll release it into the wild as soon as I get it edited and updated and all that stuff. And then not this Monday, but the Monday after that, what we'll do is we'll do the Q&A as well, where we get to talk about our favorite comedians and stuff like that. So that's what's coming up next. I'm still thinking of my next like shorter video. I haven't really settled on something. I thought about doing like worst television shows of the 80s, or yeah, Manable, Casablanca. By the way, I don't know if you knew that
there was
TV.
a Casablanca TV show.
Well, I've done five TV shows based on movies before, and then I was going to do 5 more, but there's 3 more or something like that, and Casablanca was one of them that I didn't get to. But yeah, Casablanca was a television show, lasted for 1 season, I believe, in the 80s.
Wow.
I think it was
There's
1980.
a bell ringing in my head.
Yeah. So that's one of them.
It's like one of my favorite movies, and I didn't know that. So.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Misfits of Science. Remember that movie?
I remember Misfits of Science. Yeah.
That's ranked as one of the least, but I've not seen that, so I don't know if that was. I'll have to watch it myself, and
I haven't seen it since I was a little kid, so I have no opinion that's good.
Yeah. So anyway, that's what's coming up here. I just want to thank everybody for sticking it out and hanging in with us and stuff. And it was just a lot of fun. And I just want to tell everybody, thank you. You guys really mean so much to me. You make this channel what it is. And I just love this interaction. And thank you to all my guests, Thrash, of course, for being here and being the guy he is, reading these comments and being the co-host of, and helping me out. And our guest today, Tug, the Unapologetic Geek. Please buy his book, and please also subscribe to his channel. All right, guys. Good night. Take care.